evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the monthly video for August 2016. This video has been set up in regards to the Patreon, which has been set up for Board Games Everybody Should... Yes, you too can be a Patreon and patronize Board Games Everybody... Patronize or patronize? Anyway, you can donate money towards Board Games Everybody Should... But what will be in this video, you ask? Well, let me start by saying that there will be 3 sections. The first section is a review of reviews. I'll be documenting everything that I do. Apart from PP time, because that's sacred. But anyway, I'll be documenting everything that I do in the month in regards to board gaming. How's about that then? Then there'll be a section on questions and answers. You can pose questions and I will answer them either by writing a question in the YouTube comments below, or if you are a Patreon, you will get special privileges and have your question answered first. And then finally... And then finally, there'll be the prize draw to win a digital copy of Last Night, a CD soundtrack, which is very scary. And also there'll be a thank you section where I'll be thanking all of those who have participated in the Patreon. Now, on with the show. So what have I been up to this month? Now let's start at the very beginning. This month I produced a video which is an introduction video to my channel. And so I explain what my goals are and what I do, and it's just kind of introductory stuff. There's also included in that the Patreon, which I've set up. I'll talk more about Patreon a bit later on, because otherwise this whole video will be Patreon. Selfless to say that it is why I set up the Patreon and what you get out of it at the end. In regards to video reviews, I did a review for Ink and Gold, which is a push your luck kind of game with an Indiana Jones style, where players are going into a temple, they're trying to find as much treasure as possible, but they're all kind of like, maybe I should leave now with the treasure that I've collected, or maybe I should continue, because you never know when this big boulder is going to come hurtling down on you and crush you. So I gave that a 7.5 out of 10. Go and check out that review if that interests you. I also reviewed Corridor Kid, which is an abstract game, and it's a smaller abstract version of the game Corridor. And in that, players are just trying to get from one side of the board to the other. They have a simple choice of moving or constructing a wall, and they can obviously block the other players because the other players are trying to get from different zones to different zones. A very light, fun game. I gave that a 7.5 out of 10. Really enjoyable, but it is abstract. And recently I reviewed The Resistance, which is probably one of my top 10 favourite games. This is a kind of party style game where players don't know who is on whose side, apart from the bad guys. And you're just negotiating with each other, talking to each other to try and figure out, and you've got these little missions. And this game is fantastic fun. Now, you'd think I'd give it 10 out of 10, but I can only give it an 8 out of 10 due to the fact that I don't think the art and the components are that great or that needed. But again, this game will depend on the players that you play with. If you play with bad players, you're going to have a bad experience. Figuring out who those bad players are is going to be down to you. But that's not all I've done. I've done 2 podcasts for the Berkey and Badger Board Game Babble. For those of you who don't know what that is, Berkey and Badger is, I'm Badger, and my friend Kevin Burkhardt-Smyer is Berkey. He lives over in the States. I live over here in France, and we do a podcast, and it's a live streaming podcast that we do on YouTube, so you can join in and chat with us, leave little comments, questions to ask us, or our special guest, because sometimes we have a special guest on the show. And we did 2 shows this month. The first one, episode 28, was Gen Con Potion Explosion, where Berkey, he towels off, he recalls all his memories of going to Gen Con, and we also delve deeply into Potion Explosion and give that a thorough review. And then we also did episode 29, and that was with Stephen Bonacore, the Podfather, on his Podfather tour from Stronghold Games, and we had a good old giggle with him. We interviewed him, we asked him about this kind of gangster style Asmodee eating up all the little fish, and we also played a game with him. We asked him some questions and we got responses in different ways, like in Pictionary style, Telestration style, or in Codename style. So go check them out. They are now audio. I've edited them into audio, slightly shorter versions, so you can find them from your audio podcast distributor, wherever that is, whether it be iTunes, Stitcher, or you can go to Podcast Garden. That's where we post them. And one last little thing that I'd like to add is that I have been translating rulebooks. Yes, I've translated 2 small games, one from French to English and another one from English to French. So look out for my name maybe in a rulebook sometime in the future. So what's going to be coming up in September? Well, it could be any of these games, because I could review any of them at any time. So look out for them. But I'll tell you one thing, I will be posting at least one video every month, so keep an eye open, and hopefully you'll enjoy. Or you won't enjoy, especially if it's like a game you don't like Uno. I love Uno, but you don't like Uno, do you? No. So now it's question time. This is your chance to ask me any questions, and I'll answer them to the best of my capabilities and best of my tongue. Because it does get tangled sometimes. It's a tongue twister. It's like a panier, piano, panier, red lorry, yellow lorry stuff. So I had a question from a Mr. E. Pearson. He actually sent me a question asking me about why did I do a soundtrack CD. And the one he's talking about is, of course, Last Night, which is a soundtrack CD that you can listen to while playing some kind of horror game. Specifically zombie games, but you could play it with other kind of horror games. To go back to the basics, the game Last Night on Earth came out from Flying Frog, and it had a CD soundtrack on it. And in fact, a lot of Flying Frog games have CD soundtracks with them. But I loved playing this one. This game was fantastic. It was light, it relied on rules which you were familiar with, but it had that big theme of a B-movie zombie film, and it worked, and it applied to me. I'm going to have to do a review of it today. One day, not today. I've got dinner to cook and stuff like that. But that gave me a big inspiration to say, look, I need to create my own soundtrack for this game, because the soundtrack that came with the game, I'm not saying it's rubbish, it is good. It's a good composition, but it's not my style of horror music. I grew up loving films like Evil Dead and The Thing, and those invoked horror and B-movie horror for me. Well, The Thing maybe not so much, but maybe something like Assault on Precinct 13. They kind of really invoked horror for me, and so I wanted to listen to horror-themed music like that. And at the time, still at the moment, it's hard to get hold of a copy of the soundtrack for The Thing or something like that. I've got Evil Dead, that's not a problem. And so I thought, yeah, I'm going to have to do it. And I just mucked around on my keyboard and I recorded a morsel of music. And I thought, yeah, this is cool because it's John Carpenter-y and stuff. Also at the time, I was playing Fallout New Vegas, and I really, really adored the soundtrack in that. While you're just walking around the desert for hours on end, you have wind, you have crickets, and then every now and again there'd be a slide guitar, or there'd be a castanet or something like that, and it would just break the ambience, and then there'd be a little morsel of music, and it's like, ooh, this is interesting, where's this going to go? And then it dies out, and then it goes into something else. And I thought, well, why can't we do that for board games? And it got me thinking, because there are some CDs that I own, which I burnt onto my computer. They're kind of like Ministry of Sound CDs, you know, like DJ mixing songs together. And the cuts in between each song were very precise. And so when you're listening to it on your MP3 and you put it on random, the songs just jump from one to the other seamlessly, it seemed, apart from some of the instruments like dropped out completely and the new ones popped in. And I thought, well, maybe we could do that with soundtracks. And so I started playing around with the piece of music that I created, and I also started to muck around with creating tracks that started the same as they ended, and only the length of the tracks would change. And it kind of worked. I tested it, and I created 3 tracks, and they were all different lengths, but they all started the same, with the same kind of crickety sound effect and wind, and they all ended the same. But the things in between the middle were different, and you put them on random and repeat, and you never knew what was going to come. It seemed to work seamlessly. Of course, listening to it on CD, you have to wait for the laser to jump from track to track, so there's a little cut. But if you listen to MP3, there's no cut whatsoever, it just jumps. And if you're listening with iTunes, you can blur the tracks together, so it's totally cool. So that was my inspiration, and that got me going, and then I started to compose more and more pieces. Now, as I said, a big influence is the music from The Thing, which was mainly Ennio Morricone, but it's very John Carpenter-esque. It has this heartbeat sub-bass kicking in all the time. So that inspired me. But also, again, another John Carpenter film, Halloween, it has this piano, and it was really eerie, and it still is a kind of eerie to me. And obviously I kind of pinched it and changed it, so you got the, yeah. And I also pinched the idea of those 3 notes and then just slide them down a semitone, just like in Halloween. And the nice thing is you can change the bass as well, so you can, or, and it just makes a really kind of eerie, scary sound. Is that loud enough? I presume. So yeah, that was kind of what got me going, and like a snowball or a rolling stone which gathers no moss, it gathered moss, and all of a sudden I just felt this immediate pressure to get this done, and so I got it done. And now you can either buy this, download it from anywhere online, or you can get a copy by helping sponsor the show, which is a really cool idea, I think, don't you? But where will I go from here? Will I do some more music? I'm planning on now. I actually do enjoy listening to my own music. This is wonderful. I keep listening to this while I'm playing Arkham Horror, or if I'm playing, what was the other game I played the other day? It wasn't even a horror game. I played Descent with this, and it was fun just to have that sound effect and the scary music. You never knew when there was going to be a jump, or you never knew when there was just going to be like a weird spine-tingling sound. So that was what I did. What am I going to do next? I might do another Last Night, so there might be a Last Night 2, where then you can put all the 2 albums together in a playlist, and again they will all merge into each other, so you'll have more sound effects, more different music. But I'm also quite tempted to try something different, and maybe try something a bit more sci-fi and a bit more spacey, with spaceship sounds and stuff like that. So but who knows? We'll see if I've got time. I'm still trying to finish another album that I'm composing at the moment, so there you go. That's your question answered, mystery person. Yes, it's a joke, mystery. Mr. E person, yeah. Pearson, yeah. Okay. So, on to the next segment. Now it's the moment you've all been waiting for. The prize giveaway. Yes, this prize giveaway is to do with the Patreon that I've set up. All of those who have backed at the Chap the Generous and Chap the Producer level will have their names put into this hat. And I will draw one at random, and they will win a copy of Last Night, a digital copy of Last Night. Now, before I go on, I would like to introduce a new level that I've set up on the Patreon, which is called Chap the Special. Now this is a $50 pledge that you'll be making, a $50 donation. But what will you be getting apart from your name on every video from the moment you subscribe for 1 whole year? So you'll be a producer for a year. Yeah, that's nothing. But I will also send you a physical copy of Last Night. This is a handmade copy that I made myself. I have 10 of these to give away, and I will sign them. But that is not all. I will also send you a copy of another CD which I did called Ominous, which is just a kind of mishmash of Jean-Michel Jarre and Mike Oldfield put together, and it's a very good, nice, big composition. So I will send you them both with a big thank you, and as I said, you will be a producer for practically 1 year of my life, and that is fantastic. So that is my new pledge level. But going back to the competition now, I'm going to be drawing from the hat a name from all those who pledged, as I said, at the generous and the producer level, and they will win themselves a digital copy. Now I didn't get enough backers to give away more than 1 copy. If I'd have got 10 or more backers, I'd have given away 2 copies. If I'd got 20 or more backers, I would have given away 3 copies. Yeah, I had to think there. So the more backers that there are at these levels, the more copies I will be giving away as a prize and announcing in the video. So without further ado, drum roll please. The winner is Sylvester. Yes. No, that's not funny at all, is it? Let me dig in deep here. Yeah, this hat cost a lot of money. This actually, all the money that you donated, guys, bought this hat. Yeah. No, it's not. Okay, I have a name here, and I will read it to you. You are the lucky winner of a digital copy of Last Night, and your name is David. Yes, David Bartolo. David. Yes, David, thank you very much for your pledge. Thank you for sponsoring the show. I will be sending you a digital copy tomorrow morning, because today is Sunday and tomorrow is Monday, so the post office is tomorrow. So I'll send you that in the post immediately. Thank you very much for sponsoring. But also make a special thank you to Vincent Verinold. You know, I spent ages practicing these names, and when they roll the camera, they just don't come out. I'm sorry, Vincent, but thank you. I'll put your name up on the screen. Verinoli. It's not Garibaldi. I can say Garibaldi, but I can't say. But thank you, Vincent, and thank you, David, for sponsoring the show. As I said, your names will be producers for this next month and all the videos that I produce in this month. If you want to be a producer, join in with the Patreon. Click the links. There's lots of links in the credits of the video, and there's lots of links in the show notes. Again, if you have any questions that you want to ask me for the next monthly video, or if you have a better name for the monthly video, please write them in the comments. Please send them to me either by boardgameseverybodyshould.com or on the YouTube videos. Go check out Berkey and Badger as well. That's a good hoot of a laugh podcast. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. Thank you very much for joining in, and fade to credits. You could have had to bring the shopping in.
And you say, do you say Godfather? Do you say, you know, maybe it was the wedding, you know, I forget sometimes. But you say, do you call me Godfather? Do you show me respect?
Because you have to be you have to be from New Jersey or from New York to really do the accent. I'm telling you. So
well,
don't.
You know, you're
Say hello to my little friend. A cup of tea.
That's the wrong mob.
Tell him what